Hi, everyone. It is Coach Leah Dunlap, and this is Wild Wisdom Wednesday. And I am excited to be here today to talk and share a little bit of wisdom from the pages of a book by the Dalai Lama. So the book that was actually, funny enough, sitting on my desk, ta-da, the Dalai Lama, His Essential Wisdom. His Essential Wisdom. So as many of you know, when you come to Wild Wisdom Wednesday, we don't know what we're going to find, right? It's wild. So how does this work? So on Wild Wisdom Wednesday, we take a book, i.e. the Dalai Lama's book. We flip to a page. We open the page. I read an excerpt, and typically it's a paragraph or so. And then we discuss with the oracle what insights, divine intuition come around that topic. So again, I am Coach Leah Dunlap, the Oracle on Purpose, and this is Wild Wisdom Wednesday. So if you're here and you're watching live, say hello. If you're watching the replay, be sure to chime in with your insights from the messages that are read through these books, because it's always fun to have a dialogue about what speaks to you when we open these pages and kind of delve into what I like to call the universal mind, right? It's the piece of this universe that we all belong to that we have the opportunity to tap into intuitively. And as I've made a big shift in my business to kind of stand up and stand and hold space for more people who are talented healers, mystics, and intuitive or gifted entrepreneurs who are feeling like they're ready to share their gifts, but maybe feeling a little bit like they're struggling with how to really come forward and represent themselves and grow their businesses fully, being present in who they are. This is a little piece of that, right? This is a little bit of touching into that natural, right? Perfectly natural experience of being who you really are and tapping into whatever intuition, guidance, guides that you have and letting those tools really come to the surface. So for me, one of the practices that I've used over the years is to pull a book from a shelf, open a page, and trust with great faith that the wisdom that's going to open on those pages, the words are going to speak to me and either answer a question I've been kind of mulling about or point me in a direction that allows me to really kind of move forward in my life and business. So without further ado, let's hop in. So again, the book today, ta-da, The Dalai Lama, His Essential Wisdom is the name of the book. And today's page will be page 44. Glasses. I don't know about you guys, but I'm fairly new to using glasses. I will admit, and not that it's something I'm afraid to admit, but I will share, I guess that's a better way of saying it, that I will be 50 this year. And those glasses are weird. Hold on just a second. And so wearing glasses is a new thing for me. And I don't know about you, but if you've ever had something that you haven't had to do before, like all your life you've been whatever, the follows the blank, and then you have a big change like that where suddenly you either need to make a dietary change or a physical change, or for me, wearing glasses was a big change. So I'm not really used to it. And sometimes I pretend to myself that I don't really need them until I've got myself stuck at like trying to read something. I'll share a little story since we're just starting out here. The other day I was making pancakes. I make pancakes all the time for my son on the weekends. It's our little special thing we do. And I don't always look at the recipe necessarily. I kind of just go by, feel, if you will. And I noticed that that particular time I'd read the recipe and was kind of following the recipe along. And when I was stirring the pancakes, they were really runny. And I was like, what is going on? And so then I went and I got my glasses because I looked at what I thought I put my glasses on, and sure enough, I had read the numbers incorrectly. So a little lesson that, it's okay to take help. There's a lesson there. It's okay to ask questions, to look again. Anyway, so I'm being aware, I'm being present to the fact that when I have a change, it can take a little time, right? A little practice to get comfortable in that new environment, i.e. wearing reading glasses. So back to the Dalai Lama. Today's page is 44. I think I'm going to read the whole page, it feels like. Yes. Okay. So, so this chapter is about anger and forgiveness. So it looks like there are two little like snippets here. So I'm going to go ahead and read them both because I feel inclined to do so. So the first one says, we all have a nature of suffering and impermanence. We all have a nature of suffering and impermanence. Once we recognize our community in deprivation, there is no sense in being belligerent with each other. Consider a group of prisoners who are about to be executed. During their stay together in prison, all of them will meet their end. There is no sense in quarreling out their remaining days. All of us are bound by the same nature of suffering and impermanence. Under such circumstances, there is absolutely no reason to fight with each other. Okay. Yeah. So it's interesting. I feel like the reading of these two things, there's a reason the Oracle suggested we read these together. Second one, your mental state should always remain calm. Even if some anxiety occurs, as it is bound to in life, you should always be calm. Like a wave which rises from the water and dissolves back into the water. These disturbances are very short, so they should not affect your basic mental attitude. If you remain calm, your blood pressure and so on remains more normal, and as a result, your health will improve. Interesting. Both of those things are very interesting. Hey, Amanda. So the first one, of course, talking about the first line. We all have a nature of suffering and impermanence. And once we recognize our community in deprivation, there is no sense in being belligerent with each other. Side one. The second part, your mental state should always remain calm, even if some anxiety occurs, as it is bound to in life. You should always be calm. So I think, interestingly enough, that for me, this speaks to something that happened to me this morning on Facebook. I see a lot of posts on Facebook that are somewhat inflammatory. I believe that as a, kind of cosmically, we are growing into a place where we're really stretching our own boundaries, and also being called to stand up for things we believe in. And so there was a post that went around, you may or may not have seen it, as there are many videos right now of a person of color, a Black person, I'm comfortable saying that, a group actually of them that were at a pool, and a white woman who called the police. And so the scene on the video, and you can look for it, I'm sure it's out there right now. But regardless, the scene at this video was that the woman was speaking to the police officer, who thankfully remained very calm and impartial, and was very professional in controlling the situation. And when she explained in this video that she ran out of the pool screaming that she needed help because, and in her own words, the people at the pool were teasing her and not being nice to her. And for the most part, when I see these videos, I don't tend to jump in and comment for a lot of reasons, but most often it is because I feel like there's enough work for me to do in my own sphere, in my own circle, in the activities around me that I'm actually personally involved in directly. And yet, for some reason, this particular video struck me as being a real clear sign of something underneath, right? So I think there's this place where we have lost touch, some have lost touch with humanity. And I think that's what that first piece talked about, right? Like, we are literally all in this together. There is one humanity here on earth. And in recognizing that humanity, if we come from that perspective, then there's no reason to feel as if an entire group, whatever you want to call them, is necessarily wrong or bad as a whole, right? Because then we're all one group, we're all humanity, then we all have to feel like that. So there was this undertone that I recognized, and I think this is an interesting piece to open, and this is why I always love kind of pulling this wisdom from these different pages, not knowing where it's going to land. And so to me, what that speaks to is the idea and the concept, if we were to stand in our own humanity, if we were to recognize other people as their reflective pieces of humanity, then we might do less of that need to be battling each other, and rather than find reasons to battle each other, find ways to lift all of humanity up. And the second piece of that reading today about being calm in the face of this, because that's what I was struck with, was how calm the police officer was in the midst of all the situation, and how much his calmness seemed to dissipate the drama. And now I'm not commenting necessarily on the right or wrongness of the interaction. It was more an observation of how it in some ways resolved with his being calm, asking questions, repeating back to the person what they were saying, and getting into this conversation about what really was going on underneath all of it. And I think that that's a really unique gift that he brought to that situation. And it's one that it could be a skill, right? So it's one that we could learn and lean into, which is, how can you remain calm in any of this kind of dramatic, explosive angst situations? How can we do that? How can we remain calm and come from a place of recognizing humanity in any given moment? Now, I want to be clear. I'm not saying that there aren't times for us to call things out for the pain or suffering that they cause, or people out for the pain or suffering they cause. That is not my intention here. What I'm simply saying is how interesting it was to me in looking at this reading and that experience of watching that video and recognizing something different about it. And that to me was the difference. That the person, quote unquote, in charge at the time in this video, the police officer, created a true sense of calm and oddly respect for everybody included, right? So like, he really stayed in the presence of getting to the bottom of it, of that situation. Because I think that makes a difference. I think we are capable of making a difference when we remain calm, when we bring to the table what we know to be true, right, for ourselves, and when we're willing to kind of stand in it. Like, I think that it could have gone a lot of different ways, obviously, but this particular situation, I think what I see in that is it's a message about showing up and being really true to what is happening now. So how often do we, as the Dalai Lama is speaking to, how often do we kind of create these battles around things by bringing so much extra stuff to the moment at hand? And how much more can we be at peace and come from a place where we're whole, we're safe, we're aligned, if we were to just start by being calm, finding our own center of calm? I think that gift of finding your own calm, finding and knowing your own center, being true to what you have to offer humanity, right? And everyone's gifts and talents are different. That really is what the moments call us to do, whatever they are. And I think difficult moments especially ask us to do that. Ask us to stand up more fully as who we are. What if that was the case? What if we all took ourselves into situations that might seem difficult and asked, what is the best of me that I can bring to this moment? And can I do so calmly? Can I show up with a fully aligned resolution, right? Like by resolution, like being resolute in that calling, right? So recognize that calling is needed in the moment. So, as I do with these Wild Wisdom Wednesdays, I always like to kind of create not only a dialogue, but also an opportunity to kind of bring ourselves more fully into the world and into the present, and take some sort of feedback and follow through with it. So I think that the challenge in this message really is, can we see each other, all of us, and recognize not only our own humanity, but the humanity of those around us? Can we be calm? Can we find our calm? And can we remain calm in even the most difficult situations? So, as you know, from a business perspective, there you go. From a business perspective, for those of you who follow me and who are entrepreneurs, I think that calm allows for true growth, and better service to our clients and customers, right? It's really easy. It can be really easy to be triggered by other people's, whatever you want to call it, their reactionary stories. And when we have clients that maybe aren't happy with us, or are finding fault, or are struggling to use this service or tool that we provide, it can be easy then to start a battle about it, right? It can be easy to start making it an us versus them, or a me versus you situation, when if we were to pull back and say that, kind of on a unified theory, we're all humanity, we're all one humanity. And so when we work with our clients, we're working with a piece of ourselves, like in the greater sense. So if we want what's best for our clients and ourselves, and we come from a place of choosing to remain calm, like taking whatever actions we need to get to a calm place, and then bring from that calmness a rational and curious mind, right, towards solution, towards result, towards maybe even compromise, then how much different could that look? So I think sometimes, and with clients, and also with my other business with customers, we can start to have this conversation in our own head. Have you ever raise your hand or say yes in the comments if you've ever gotten like a negative review or a kind of a nasty email, and you're shocked, right? You're kind of taken back by it. And then you go into your own head and you have your own story and your own drama that goes on in response, right? Like against that person, or against their statements. And there's this instant, jumping up to fight, jumping to the fight. And instead of like sitting with it and contemplating, or even reading, here's a tip of the day. There's 2 tips. This one I say all the time. I'm going to type it in the comments because I think it's a great one to remember. Here's my first tip, always. If you receive an email, a post, a LinkedIn comment, a Twitter comment, something on Instagram, whatever, and it triggers you and gets you frustrated or makes you feel like you want to come at it and fight against it, my number one tip, first of all, that's fine. Feelings are feelings. And don't type angry, right? Don't type angry. There won't be a solution typically in your response. And it's kind of just adding fuel to the fire, right? So that's number one. Number two is read it again. Take a deep breath with me. Read it again. So let yourself get all whatever, right? Go through the feelings. Give yourself a moment to kind of react without physically responding. And then take a breath and read it again. Now, if you really want to take that tip to an extra level, read it backwards. What do I mean by that? So let's say someone says they send you sell something, a product, right? And they receive it, and they respond on a post, and the response on the post is, this item was blue in the picture, but I received it and it's green or more green or something like that. And so, maybe in your own post, to the sales post, it says, items, colors might vary. In your picture, the quality of the picture might not have really portrayed the true color. And so in your head, right, you can kind of go to battle and really get in there and just like, well, I wrote that on there and that's why it says this, and why don't people read directions? You can get into that whole thing. I'm not saying that's you, but I'm just saying that could be one version, right? So it's like we instantly go to battle. But if we look at it from the humanitarian, like we look at it from we're all one humanity, and we can pause and be calm, we can start a different conversation. We can start a different result by saying, oh, okay, so clearly they wanted a bluer one for whatever reason, right? So you can come back to that person and say, wow, it sounds like getting a blue, right, whatever, widget, was really important to you. Do you have a specific color in mind is there a reason you need a specific color? So that's one response, right? Because now you've calmed down and you can actually start to realize that the purpose of business, right? For whatever that is, whether it's a service business or a retail business, is to create something together. You are building something, you're designing something, you're selling something, so that someone else can have something. There is a community there. There's a co-creation happening. So if you look at your experience with your clients or your customers as that, right, and you come from that perspective, how can I help you do what you're trying to do? Then you can have a different dialogue with them. Now, that's one reason to reread the statement, right? So if the person had said, I hate this color, and it's more green than it was blue, and all I saw was, I hate this color, I hated it, whatever, I got it, hated it, and I go railing off, right? And I start to go battle against, how could she hate it? All my other clients love my design, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what this widget is, but let's say that's the case. You get a lot of other people that really love what you provide. And this particular person didn't. So if you read this statement backwards, right, then you get to the heart of the matter first, which is that the color itself was not what this person expected. Also, not what they wanted or needed. So either you can have a conversation now about what they do want or need, or you can, make a solution, make a resolution, say, well, I'm happy to take that item back. It's not a color. We don't have anything in a blue color. That is the color that this item comes in. And I'm happy to, take the item back and have you return it and give you the cost of the item. Also, you might be able to provide said blue thing, right? So we can refund it, or we can return it and create something different. But you're now having a conversation that's built on the actual issue at hand. You're not necessarily battling someone. You're coming up to serve them as best you can. Can you serve everyone? Not necessarily. Can you help them understand something? Because even if that, let's say, for example, that same blue widget, you did say on this screen that, sometimes people's items look different in the color of something that's presented on screen as they would in person. So even if this doesn't work out for this particular item, in a way you have served them by reminding them that what they see on the screen may not always be what they get in person. And if it's really, truly important that they get something that specifically matches something they're trying to get, that they're better suited to do their shopping in person. So you still serve them. You've still been of service, and you've still created something together, right? That cooperation of service provider, retailer, and client customer. It just may not be something from you specifically that they're going to get. And in the end, right, we as a whole, as a community, will always have the opportunity to be of service even if we're not creating a product or service for that individual. By that I mean we have the chance to just always be in service. Because I know a lot of my clients, especially, who are healers and mystics and, gifted and talented entrepreneurs, they want to help people. They want to do good. You want to do good. You want to make a difference. But even in that scenario, by remaining calm and looking at the real part of the question, you can make a difference. It just might not be that that person becomes your client or customer, and you still get to make a difference. And I will say that I found that when we do make a difference that way, and we're very clear about it, and we come from that place, then we create a space for that person to see us, right, and to share about their experience, that then draws other people that will look for what we're doing, look for how we're acting, and draw more business to us, draw the right clients or customers to us. And so I like this because I think that from that perspective on the business scope, that makes sense. And I think that even just on a personal side and as a community, we could gain more, right, by being more connected to our humanity and a sense of calm about what we can come to the process with, right? So speaking from a holistic place of understanding that we're all in this together, and that each individual brings something to the table, and that you are part of that. Like you, something in you, when you can get calm, has something to provide in that calmness, in that calm energy. And sometimes it's just being calm. Have you ever been in a group where things are getting out of hand and you're just like, wow, okay, like if you can just be the person to hold space for calm, that could be very powerful, right? So I would say to all of you watching the replay, that's the challenge this week. Look for opportunities to recognize humanity in others and in yourself and how you're connected to that. And other opportunities, if they're not the same, to come from a place of calm knowing. Calm knowing that if there's something to be done, and it's to be done by you, you'll be moved to do so, and you don't have to be in a panic, fight, flight kind of mode to do it. You can do it from a place of calm. And perhaps when you do, you'll find that the resolution is more profound and sweet. More profound and sweet. Yeah. Not everything has to be a battle. Not everything has to be a battle. And ultimately, we are literally all in this together. All right, everybody, that's it for me today. Thank you for those of you who popped in and joined me. It is Wild Wisdom Wednesday, and I am Leah Dunlap, the Oracle on Purpose. All right, have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye now.